Chapter 5. The Horrible Day Miracle. I overslept. I guess we all did. I was awakened suddenly by the noise of bicycles on the gravel. I jumped out of bed and rushed to the window. I couldn't believe my eyes. The two Nazis were going down the slope on their bicycles. They were leaving. I called everybody, and in no time we were all at the window watching them. They never so much as turned their heads. We were so happy we started dancing on the beds and throwing pillows at one another. Finally, Philip said, "Let's go up to the cave and get the others." We all clapped, especially those who had never seen the cave. Let's go, we cried. "Oh no," said a voice. It was Henry's, and we all stopped short, and we were ashamed, because in the excitement we had forgotten him in the coal shed. Then we started to laugh. We couldn't help it. He was black all over, and in the dark I hadn't noticed it. He said dryly, have fun. No one thinks of coming to tell me I can get out, but you make enough noise for those in the cave to feel they can come out, and then they will be caught." "Caught," we said, gasping. We stepped down from the beds quietly. Someone said, "But Henry, the Nazis have gone. We saw them go down the valley road." "You have no sense," retorted Henry. "Let's hope the others in the cave have more than you do." "I know they have, or else they'd be here already." Then Louis started crying, Sister Gabriel. That sobered us up quickly, and we listened attentively to Henry as he went on. "They're leaving this morning like this. It's a trap. It's a trick. They want to see what we're going to do. They want to surprise us. They want to snatch our secret. They went, but they'll be back. How do you know they aren't on their way back right now, cross country? They're going to hide and spy on us. That's why we can't even go and say hello to the others in the cave." Nobody had anything to say. We all had the creeps. After a while, Philip ventured, "Let's go down and eat." That was a brilliant suggestion, and it made us feel so much better. We went down, and Philip told how Arthur had divided the bread in the cave, and we all agreed to do that same and save as much as possible in the way of food, because we did not know how long it would have to last. So we girls cooked rutabagas, and we all had that and a small piece of bread each. I don't know how we lived through the day. It was horrible. We kept feeling they were watching us, and yet we didn't know if they were. We didn't dare to even throw a glance in the direction of the cave, and we lived in constant fear that the caves might get tired and hearing nothing come out. In the afternoon, someone suggested we play at throwing rings. So we formed two teams and started to play, facing the road. It was my turn to throw, and I went over to take my place. I could see the road was deserted. I took the ring, and everybody was looking at me. That is, they had their backs to the road. And I swung my arm and threw the ring, and everybody shrieked with terror as the ring was caught in midair by a man's arm, which shot up behind me. It was the young Nazi who had sprang from around the corner of the house. He laughed nastily. "Thought we were gone, huh? Didn't know we'd been watching you for hours, huh?" We shuddered. Henry had been right. "We were looking around, too," went on the Nazis. "We were told there are caves around this countryside. Don't you know about them, children? Let's go inside where we can talk better. Inside, schnell." Heavy-hearted, we dragged our wooden shoes up the house. The old soldier came in carrying a large cardboard box. "Open it," ordered the young Nazi. While this was being done, he said, "You do not have much to eat at noon. Rutabagas. I saw the peels on the garbage can. Poor children. Wouldn't you like a little extra? Look." He pointed to the box, and out of which the old soldier proceeded to take out chocolate bars and colored candy. Our eyes popped, and we began to shift on our benches. But when the old soldier brought out oranges, real oranges, we couldn't help it. We shrieked. It was unbelievable. We had not seen oranges for years. Louis did not remember them at all. He was much too small. So he became very excited and clapped his hands, calling, pretty ball for Louis." We were aghast. Up to this time, Louis had been so good. He had paid no attention at all to the Nazis. Of course, he did not have the slightest idea of what was going on, but he had fallen in with the rest of us, acting naturally like we did. And now this. The young Nazi was delighted. Good, he said. "Come down here, little boy." Denise snatched Louis and held him tight in her arms. "All right," said the Nazi. "You both come." So Denise had to get up. Carrying Louis, whose hand was stretched toward the oranges, she went up to the Nazi. "Yes, little boy," he said, "you can have that pretty ball, if you tell me what I want to know. Now be a good little boy and tell me. Don't you have some Jewish friends?" "I forbid you to annoy my little brother," yelled Denise. "Oh, yeah?" mocked the Nazi. How funny, how very funny. You forbid me, and now you talk, don't you? Better and better. Now we're getting somewhere. Deliberately, he took Louis away from Denise and sat him on his lap. Go and sit down, he ordered Denise, who went back to her seat crying. Then he spoke to Louis. Listen carefully, little boy. You tell me the truth, and you can have the pretty ball, and the chocolate and the candy, and all the others in the room can have it too. Tell me this truth. Don't you have some Jewish friends, boys and girls? Just say yes or no. Yes, said Louis. In the hushed silence that followed, Henry got up slowly and said, He does not understand. He is just trying to get the orange. Then I knew Henry was playing the last card. Would it work? Did you hear? The Nazi asked Louis, and he laughed. It is not true, of course. You know very well what I'm talking about. Louis nodded triumphantly. I knew I was getting sick to my stomach. Of course, rejoiced the Nazi. You're a big boy. You know about Jewish boys and girls. Now tell me, where are they? There, said Louis at once, and he pointed to George and me and himself. For a fraction of a second I was thunderstruck. Then I understood. Bless his heart. Louis remembered the flight into Egypt and that George and I had held him, and of course we were the Jews. Pretty ball, pretty ball! Louis was demanding his due, but the Nazi seemed utterly dazed. He narrowed his eyes and peered from George to me, muttering, Incredible! The nerve! Better even than I thought. Right here all the time. Suddenly he shouted at George, Get up, you! George got up. My heart was in my mouth. Had he understood? What's your name? Yelled the Nazi. Joseph, said George. Just like that. It was magnificent. I could have kissed him. And yours, snarled the Nazi to me. Mary, I said. Fantastic, sputtered the Nazi, wiping his forehead. And suddenly, as if waking up, he pushed Louis quickly off his knee with disgust and bellowed, And what is your name? Jesus, shouted Louis triumphantly. The whole room burst out laughing at the stunned Nazi opened his mouth wide. His eyes popped out and his arms fell to his side. Then he caught sight of Louis walking toward the oranges. Everything back in the box, he barked to the other soldier. But we didn't care. Nothing could stop us from laughing now. We roared, we shook all over. We shrieked, we catcalled, we hissed. The boys started to turn cartwheels in the aisles, and the girls threw ourselves on the floor and rolled all over. Then suddenly there was a sharp crack of a gun. We scrambled to our feet in a hurry, and there in the doorway stood a Nazi officer, holding the gun he had fired into the air. Next to him was Sister Gabriel, very pale, anxiously taking the whole room at a glance. In her eyes we read the burning question, Where's our 10 Jewish children? And we could only look at her. The officer said sharply, Sister, are these your charges? Yes, answered Sister Gabriel. Very badly brought up, snapped the Nazi officer. He turned to the young soldier. Anything to report? No, sir, said the young Nazi, red as a beet. Together with the others, he had been standing at stiff attention since the officer had come in. Where are the Jewish children? Asked the officer. No Jewish children have been found, sir, except these 3, said the young Nazi, snarling and pointing to George, Louis, and me. There are 3 Jews whose names are Jesus, Joseph, and Mary. So say the impudent brats. Oh, but sir, interrupted Sister Gabriel hurriedly with gay little light in her eye, let me explain. It's a game the children play, the flight into Egypt, you know, when Jesus' family had been to flee because of Herod's soldiers who were hunting for them. She stopped short. She was very red. The officer did not seem to hear her. He barked to the young Nazi. You have made a fool of yourself, a fool. Away with you. Report at once to the Normandy front. That'll teach you. The soldier clicked his heels and went out. You, said the officer to the others, come with me. The officer clicked his heels, saluted Sister Gabriel, and recited like automation. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. You shall not be disturbed again. My advice, though, is you give your charges a little taste of German discipline. They need it. He glared at us ferociously and went out. We crowded around the door. In the yard there was a motorcycle with a side seat in which the officer sat down, while the old soldier drove him. There was also a truck with 3 SS troopers. Our tormentor, the young Nazi soldier, put his bicycle in the truck next to that of the old soldier, and climbed in. There were some sharp commands, and down they went at top speed. At last Sister Gabriel turned to us. Where are they? And we were still afraid. We told her the whole story in whispers. She kept laughing softly and saying, "Good, good, very good." Then she said, "The Nazis arrested me as I went to Deerfeld, and they had come back unexpectedly and they were questioning me. Of course I would not answer, so they threw me in jail. This morning they told me they had sent 2 men up here and that the Jewish children had been found. But still I would not talk. I figured out that perhaps they were lying, though I could not see how they could help catching the children. They said, 'You don't believe us. We will take you back to the school now, and you will watch the Jewish children being taken away in the truck.'" "That was the truck you saw," added Sister Gabriel. We all shuddered. Then Denise said, "Do you think, Sister, now it's safe if one of us goes to the cave and tells the others that the coast is clear?" "By all means," said Sister Gabriel. "Show me the way, Denise. I'll go with you." And off they went, and after a while Suzanne appeared. We hugged her. "Where are the others?" we asked. "Arthur says," she answered, "that only one of us at a time, so it cannot possibly attract attention, just in case." It took a little while for everybody to come down. Arthur was last. He said, "I think everyone should sleep in the cave from now on. During the day we could spell each other and keep a watch, but not so during the night, so it's best we sleep in the cave." "He's right," said Sister Gabriel. And so that was the way it was done for the duration. During the day we were all together, and we took turns watching the road and the hills, and at night the Jewish children went to the cave and stayed there until one of us went up in the morning to tell them it was safe to come out. We did have several bad scares later on, and right during the night too, so it was fortunate that Arthur's plan had been followed. But nothing was so terrible as that first time, and when the Americans liberated the country, the 30 of us were safe and sound, though the sound was somewhat hollow because we were all a little thin. But to go back to that first time, we were all talking together and telling one another what happened in the house and in the cave while the Nazis were on their hunt. And Sister Gabriel said, "You were all very brave. I don't know which is the hardest, to face the Nazis or stay hidden in the cave." And Suzanne said it seemed so long, so long. We did not dare talk even in whispers, and we did not dare move. I tried to imagine I was Mary for good and hiding in a cave on my way to Egypt. But Louis, the little one, was not there, and Arthur would not be Joseph. Arthur grinned. "Sister, I've had enough of that flight of Egypt." "So have I," said George. "Let's play something else. Can't we play a miracle such as those played in the Middle Ages?" "We could act out the multiplication of loaves and fishes," volunteered Philip, thinking of food as usual. "But weren't we all thinking about it at all the time in those days?" "That reminds me," said Sister Gabriel, "that they did not let me take any of the food packages at Dillefelt. So it means that we shall have to manage with the little we have to eat at present." What a heavy blow. We looked so forward to those packages, and now especially we wished for them more than ever. After the Nazi scare, we felt pretty blue. Then Denise spoke up. "We can pretend, that is, we can act out the multiplication of loaves and fishes, as Philip suggested, and do just as if we were eating." Henry got up at once, all excited. He is the born director and stage manager. Already he was right at play. "Let's go out and sit on the grass," he said. We did. "Now," went on Henry, "we are all common people, and the great Jewish crowd which has come to hear him, and he has told us such beautiful stories, and we like him so much that we stay and we stay and we stay." "We have been here for ages," broke in Arthur. "Indeed," said Henry, "and now it is very late, and we are all so hungry." So hungry," we all chanted. "And there is nothing to eat," went on Henry. "Nothing to eat," we all sang mournfully. "Just a few," started Henry, and then we heard shrill cries, and we looked quickly towards where they came. On the threshold of the house stood Louis. We had not noticed he slipped away, and there he was, shrieking at the top of his voice, "Pretty ball! Pretty ball!" and in his hands he waved an orange. One leap and a shout carried us all, including Sister Gabriel, to the house. Where did you find that, Louis?" And triumphantly Louis led us. There, under the desk, was the forgotten Nazi box, filled with chocolate, candy, and oranges. Was there ever a sweeter miracle?